Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Lammersville Unified Board of Education to order at 7 o'clock. Just a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed and recorded, so if you wouldn't mind, please silence or turn off your cell phones at this time. If I could call Principal McDonald from Cordis Elementary forward to lead us, or have someone lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Do I say it?
Right hand over your heart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Shamika is pulling double duty this evening. Our two other students that were intended to be here have not shown up yet, but she's going to help us go through our presentation to show how great we are at impromptu.
All right.
Okay, all right. I think we do this. So with us tonight, Aditi and Moksha, they're on their way, but there we go. If they come in, they come right to the, but this is Shamika.
I'm not in the ASB. Yeah.
Okay, so talk about the PAW pros that we say every day.
So the PAWS is like an acronym, which stands for, the P stands for practicing kindness, the A is for acting responsibly, the W is for working and playing safely, and the S is for showing respect for everyone in the community, in school, and at home every day.
Good job. We say that every day after what?
After the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's right. And then we have a little ASB update. We have some great things going on at our school. You want to talk about some clubs that have started?
Yeah, we have clubs like the Drama Club, the Feminist Club, the Anime Club, which I'm in, and the Bollywood Club. And the activities we had over the year, we had the Fall Social, which was in October, I think, and the Spring Fling, which was like just last month in March. And then we have Culture Day coming up next Monday. And there were holiday grams, like there were spring grams, right? There were spring grams. And there were also Halloween grams. And there were sports concessions, and there were class senators. There were 2 for each grade.
That's right, which was brand new.
Yeah.
And then the ASB is working on their calendar events for next year, which is pretty cool. And here's a picture of
The Spring Fling dance.
which was a lot of fun on a Friday afternoon. You can see how much fun they were having.
Yeah.
The cautious cheetahs. That's where we're talking about how to come to school cautiously. We had a survey that every student in 4th through 8th grade took. It was actually a program from our high school, the Destination program. They partnered. They were former Cordis students, and they were helping us with signage and with egress and ingress for safety on our campus. So our 4th through 8th graders are going through the Cautious Cheetahs program, which is pretty cool. And there's even new signage to keep them out of the bushes.
Yeah, this is our gardening club. This is one of our electives. It's basically where during electives they go to the high school and plant plants. I don't know what plants. What plants?
Yeah, radishes, carrots, and cabbage lately.
Yeah, I haven't been in the elective personally, but whenever I pass by, it looks really cool. So I'm excited to see what plants they grow in the end of the trimester.
And then we have a bunch of ways of saying thank you, and especially on Monday, where we're having our cultural day for the first time, where students are going to be showing up with their cultural style or dress to celebrate their culture.
Yeah.
So I think she did a really great job, even though she didn't know she was supposed to be doing it tonight, which is very, very cool. Oh. And here they are.
So I have a question. I'm sorry, your name again? Shamika. Very nice to meet you. And so you didn't know, you were not scheduled to speak,
No.
but you volunteered to do it when your fellow students couldn't make it.
Actually, I didn't volunteer, but
But you were willing to go along with it,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Okay, I'll just go on.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Shamika.
Want to add real fast? This is Moksha, this is Aditi. Real fast, go back here, girls. You can talk about give them some quick, there are ASB officials. Talk about what you guys are planning for next year. How about that?
Yeah. Okay, so for next year, we're working on the next year's calendar of events, and there's a lot of events that we're working on, and we're promoting, we're encouraging student engagement, and learning from the last 2 years of being in ASB, we wanted to make sure that the students are actually engaged with the ASB, so we can make sure that the school is a more enjoyable place for everyone to be. So not only do they learn, they also are enjoying their time at school and making memories. So we're working on contests, competitions, and we're also working on
we're also working on different types of clubs that more kids can join. Since this year we had clubs, but they weren't really proper, so we're going to make them more official, and we want, like Moksha said, more student engagement, so everyone has a fun time in their quarters.
And we're also bringing you new events such as Culture Day. Culture Day is something new that we haven't done at all. And we're doing Culture Day on April 24th, where we're having everyone come in with their cultural clothing so we can take pictures. And yeah.
Do you have any questions for our 7th grade, student 8th graders?
Thank you so much for coming and presenting. I love your goals for next year. I think they're amazing. And I think if you can get the students involved and get them more interested and build more clubs, you're going to have a tighter community and a very happy student body. So great goals.
I do have a question. How are the cautious cheetah signs working?
So I used to be someone who would walk through the bushes to go to school, but now I actually follow the rules. I see the sign and I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to go there, so I go the right way. And I think other students are doing the same too. I don't see much people not going through the bushes anymore or going across the road to go to school.
Awesome. Thank you.
Leading by example then. Great job.
Thank you, Cordes Elementary, and especially thank you, Shamika, for your impromptu stand-in. You did an excellent job. Thank you. If the people that came today for the Cordes part of the program would like to leave now, get home, get homework done, whatever, you may leave now. If you'd like to stay here for the meeting, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And next we have Assistant Superintendent Sharp with the GATE program.
Good evening, President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you for having me this evening. Kristen Ward has been working with some amazing students this year and teachers as well in our GATE program after school. And I don't want to ruin any of what Kristen's going to say, so I'm going to have her come up right now and talk to you about why they are here this evening. So Kristen Ward, if you'd come up, along with the students who will be with you.
Hello, thank you for having us tonight. And in an effort to make this event even more student-driven, I'm actually going to turn it over to our fabulous hosts and our students here.
Dear school board members, we cordially invite you to join us at the GATE End of Year Student Showcase and TED Student Talks event on Thursday, May 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Mountain House High School Theater.
Much like last year, the student showcase will begin with the walkthrough in the lobby, highlighting exceptional work from GATE students. Then, TED Student Talks will start at 6:30 p.m., featuring our 11 speakers and 4 hosts.
The event will feature thought-provoking talks on the topics of dealing with failure, the possibilities of time travel, exploring identity and expectations, and more, with fabulous speakers from each of our 5th to 8th grade classes.
This year, we're thrilled to be part of an even more student-driven event, including each speaker being paired with a coach from our Mountain House High School speech and debate team. These coaches have provided valuable feedback and tips about presenting live from stage. We hope you'll join us for an inspiring evening that celebrates the hard work and creativity of our students. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay,
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having us tonight.
Thank you.
I was there last year, and I'm really looking forward to being there again this year.
And if the students from the Great Gate program would like to leave at this time, they're more than welcome to, or they're more than welcome to stay and watch our riveting meeting. Roll call, please.
Lisa Boulay.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Anita Daniel.
Here.
Stephanie Olson.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Satya Seelam.
Here.
Item 3, approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Olson and seconded by trustee Clements. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, committee reports. District Advisory Committee, DAC. Trustee Boulay.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. District English Language Advisory Committee, DLAC. Trustee Clements.
Yes, sir. The next DLAC committee meeting for the school year is a joint meeting with Education Committee and is scheduled for April 20th at 6:30 in the Professional Development Center.
Thank you. And Education Committee is me, and as trustee Clements just mentioned, we have a joint meeting with the DLAC Committee tomorrow at 6:30 in the Professional Development Center. D, Facilities, trustee Olson.
The next Facilities Committee meeting will be Wednesday, May 4th at 6:30 p.m. here in the district office.
Thank you. Item E, Policy Committee, trustee Daniel.
We have a second reading and adoption of updated board policies today, and that's the update for the policy committee.
Thank you. Item F is Safety Committee. The Safety Committee met on March 22nd, and we had site safety reports, an update on Alice Run Hide Fight, and we discussed goals for the 23-24 school year. And on April 10th, we had a dress code subcommittee meeting where we continued to discuss possible changes to the dress code. Item G, Wellness, trustee trustee Olson, excuse me.
Trustee Pombo, I wasn't able to make the meeting today, so I'm going to defer to Trustee Daniel.
I will provide the update, President.
Thank you.
So today was the last meeting for our wellness committee, and we had a few updates. We are going to be adding a restorative practices specialist, an additional LVN, and our nurse bed will be centralized. We also will be having an additional student services counselor for the next academic year. And we talked about all the site wellness update. There were great updates provided by each principal and VP with regards to the wellness at every site. We also talked about the curriculum and the programs that we are focusing within the focus groups. So Altamont uses Second Step for TK to 8th grade. Bethany and Hanson are using the IM Sparked, which is 5th to 8th grade level, and that's a digital version. And K-4 Bethany is using a little spot, which is more of stories, and Hanson TK-4 are using the semi-circuit, and our high schoolers are using the Zone to Grow. They are planning to pilot a Character Strong program till the end of the school year, and then based upon how it goes, then we will follow up to the next year. And all of these have really good positive feedback from the focus group and the school staff. Then the next update we discussed was about the screening. So so the screening goes on for TK, K, 2nd, 5th, and 8th graders. There were a total of 2,417 students. A few of the absentees are going to be screened over the next few weeks. So these are the updates from the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5, Governing Board Reports. Student Board Member Selam.
Good evening. First, I would like to start with Mustang Sports. Sports season is full in swing, and I'll be reporting some updates as each sport finishes their season in the next few weeks. Boys golf is 3-0 and is first in league. Girls swimming is 4-2, and boys swimming is 7-0. Softball is 4-2, and their senior night is on Thursday, May 4th. Baseball is 6-1, and their senior night is Wednesday, May 3rd. Boys tennis is undefeated, and they won their rival game yesterday, which confirmed their 4th consecutive Western Athletic Conference championship, and they're playoffs bound. And their senior night was tonight, and they have obviously brought home the win. And boys volleyball is also undefeated and is first in league. They have qualified for their playoffs, and their 13 seniors will play their last home game this Friday, April 21st. And HOSA had their state conference the weekend of March 24th, and our students achieved 16 top 5 medalists and 7 top 10 finalists. And we have our top 5 finalists traveling to Dallas for the international conference in June. April 14th was Mustang Cella, MHHS's annual night rally. It was open to the community, and we had a lot of performances from our dance teams, class skits, and clubs. On April 15th, the junior class hosted the first annual car show. It was so much fun with the entire community, food trucks, and all sorts of cars. From April 13th to the 16th, Skills USA attended the state conference in Ontario, California. We brought home 5 gold medals, 4 silver medals, and 3 bronze medals. We also have one student from Mountain House High School who was elected as a Skills USA California State Officer for the 2023-2024 school year. And our 11 gold medalists will be heading to Atlanta in June for the national conference. And MHHS Drama presents their spring musical, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. This week's shows are Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m., and next week's shows are Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m. The senior class has a fundraiser today from 5 to 9 p.m. at Blaze Pizza in Tracy. We hope everyone can stop by tonight to support the senior class. And on Monday, April 17th, students from each elementary schools had a string concert at Hanson Elementary. These students have been practicing after school at the high school and were able to showcase their hard work at the concert. And DECA's International Conference begins this Friday, April 21st. And 21 of our students will be traveling to Orlando to represent California, and I'll be excited to report our results. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Daniel.
On April 15th, I attended the first annual car show at the Mountain House High School, and I did get to hear that a lot of the high schoolers helped out from the start to the finish, and I thoroughly enjoyed taking pictures in front of each of the car. I don't know if it was painful to take pictures for my husband, but he still did it. So I'm thankful to him. And then on April 19th, I attended the Wellness Committee meeting, and I'm looking forward to the spring musical. That's going to happen this weekend. And I also want to take this opportunity to wish all our students all the very best in their CASP and CAS testing. And there ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Boulay.
Thank you. On March 17th, I attended the blood drive at Mountain House High School, and I'm grateful to the students who volunteer for that and anybody else who is a part of that, because I think it's a great service not only for our community, but for healthcare and for patients who do need that life-saving blood. On March 18th, I volunteered at the Battle of the Books that was hosted by Wickland School Foundation. A couple other board members were there as well. It was an amazing event, and I am so grateful to the parent group, WSF officers, and all of the parents, and some of the district staff as well were there helping out some of the librarians. It was a huge event, and I think it's a valuable event because really it gets kids reading books that these are award-winning books that they may not have chosen to read. So it's an exciting event, and again, the parents did a great job. On the 18th, also in the evening, along with some of the other board members, I attended the Lammersville auction. Again, another great event put on by some amazing volunteers in our district. It was very well organized and very successful, and I had a great time. On March 22nd, I attended Wickland's Inclusion Family Night, and this was the first time that WSF has done that. In fact, I think the first time we've had anything like that in our district. And again, another great event. It was very well organized. The activities were amazing, and it was very insightful to me to see some of the challenges that some of our students have in terms of their education. It was eye-opening, and I think I learned a lot and really just enjoyed it, enjoyed meeting some of the other families. On April 2nd, I attended the boys varsity baseball game. It was an amazing performance by our team. In fact, they did so well, they only had to play 5 innings. And then I've also attended a number of the boys' high school tennis matches. I was there today for their match this afternoon and for the senior night for our 3 boys tennis players. And there was a match against coach versus one of the students, and coach did win. It was a great game though. Very, very, very energetic. And I think coach was hurting a little afterward. But he's a little older than the students. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Trustee Clements.
Thank you, sir. I also attended the Battle of the Books. I think it's a fantastic event. I really want to thank Vicki Beckman for spearheading that and putting it on. Speaking as a child who was probably in the 3rd grade before I could read, any way to get kids reading, it really doesn't matter what they read as long as they read. It's a fantastic event. I'm looking forward to participating in it again next year. I also, along with most of my fellow board members, attended the Lammersville Action put on by the Lammersville School Foundation. It was a great event. My wife and I enjoyed the opportunity to dance a little bit. And on Wednesday, March 22nd, I attended the inclusion event at Wickland Elementary School with many of my peers. I thought it was a great event, and I really appreciated the various activities that gave attendees a brief glimmer of some of the challenges that these children face. And that it's very intimidating, right? It was intimidating to go through those and see just a small part of what those challenges are like. And as my peers on the board may recall, I've focused my sessions at California State School Board Association on special education and equity. And I've said it on the dais before, but I truly believe that inclusion is critical in providing the highest quality of education to all our students. To be effective, different children need different support structures at different times in order for them to be able to take full advantage of that inclusion. In an ideal world with unlimited resources, the supports would be provided to enable each child to experience inclusive education at all times. Of course, we don't have unlimited resources, and we cannot offer this. The event was a big reminder of why inclusion is so important and why we work so hard to provide the best support we can for the children that need it when they need it. And I wanted to thank Andrea Gemlich and the Wickland School Foundation for hosting the event, and all of the staff in the special education department for working so hard to provide the support that these children need to unlock as much inclusionary learning opportunities as possible. That is the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Trustee Olson.
On March 18th, I also was a volunteer at Battle of the Books and was there observing some wonderful, fun competition. But as my fellow trustees have already noted, the best part was just recognizing that so many students read books that they may not have read. And that many of those students, after having read one of those books, now have a new genre of literature that they're interested in reading. So that opened a whole new world to them, and it was a wonderful event, and I echo the gratitude for the Wickland School Foundation president, or I don't know if she's the president, but Victoria Beckman, and all her volunteers. I also attended the Lammersville School Foundation auction on March 18th with most of my trustees. I've always appreciated that event. It's a great event, and the Lammersville School Foundation, congratulations to them. They do a great job of raising money for students and supporting the needs of the school. And so congratulations. On March 22nd, I also attended the Wickland Inclusion Night. So it would sound like a broken record here, but that was my favorite event. And as my trustees have noted, it's so important to recognize the challenges these students face. But one thing that I observed while I was there was the students who were there, the Lammersville students who were there trying the different stations and getting a little taste of what their peers go through, and that peer support, peer compassion and empathy goes a long way. And so that event for me was really powerful that our students got to experience that and were invited and have a better understanding of what their friends go through. And I think it also highlighted the strengths that our special education students bring to our district and what they can offer other people. So I want to give a huge congratulations to the whole Wickland School, Principal Manley, Andrea Gimlich, the teachers and staff that put that on. That was a great event. On April 14th, let me go in chronological order here. On April 10th, I attended the subcommittee dress code meeting for the safety committee at Mountain House High School. On April 12th, I attended the Cuesta third grade music concert, and it was a wonderful concert. The teacher actually played the guitar with the students as they sang, so it was nice to see them singing to live accompaniment, and they were very, very excited about the songs they were singing. And the teacher tied the music into the Common Core standards for third grade, which I thought was great. So they were singing a lot of pioneer type songs because that's what third graders learn at school. So I just like to see that cross-disciplinary collaboration that our teachers do. So I thought that was wonderful. And on April 13th, I attended the Community Services District meeting and reported on our district to the Community Service District. And as always, they are very impressed with the things and the leadership that our district does to take our students where they are. On April 14th, I was privileged to have a site visit at Wickland Elementary School and observe some classroom instruction. The vibe right when I walked into the school showed excellent instructional leadership. It was just, student-focused, learner-focused, and it was amazing to see the things our students can do and the way they're empowered. And I was really happy to see that. And one last thing that I attended, two last things. I attended Saturday school on April 15th. And while it may...
That'll teach you to miss a board meeting.
And contrary to popular belief, perhaps, it is not the breakfast club there, but I still would encourage students just to go to class, and then they don't have to go there. And on that same date, I also attended the auction for Officer Ab's birthday bash, and I appreciate all he has done over the many years to support the DARE program in our schools, and was very happy to help support his auction, which was raising funds for the DARE program. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. On March 17th, I attended the Mountain House High School Bollywood Club Multicultural Dance Showcase. It was very entertaining to listen to the various musical accompaniment to the dancing. The whole night was very, very enjoyable. On March 18th, as my fellow board members have mentioned, I attended the Lammersville School Foundation dinner and auction. Always a good time. I encourage anyone that's able to come out next year and get a taste of how much fun it is. On March 21st, I attended the Lammersville School Site Council. On March 22nd, I attended the Safety Committee meeting. March 22nd in the evening, I attended the Wickland Family Inclusion Night, and I will just agree with my fellow board members that it was a wonderful evening, and it was nice to see so many families out there, both with special needs students and with other students that attended and were involved in the evening. On April 10th, I attended the Dress Code Subcommittee meeting. On April 11th, I attended the LSF meeting and became aware that the Lammersville School Foundation, through their dinner and auction evening, raised $27,000 for Lammersville School. On April 15th, I attended the what Trustee Olson referred to as Officer Ab's birthday party. It was a fundraiser for DARE and Brighter Christmas, two organizations that he is involved in. And on April 17th, I attended the LUSD Strings concert, and kids are pretty impressive. I understand many of them have only been working together a few months, and it was a very enjoyable evening. Thank you to everyone involved. That concludes my report. Moving on to item 6, receiving of public comments. The entire board appreciates hearing from members of the community and public at large. The board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each agenda item. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public may also bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee or take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. I have no blue cards here, but if anyone failed to fill out a blue card and would like to make a public comment, they can come forward now. Seeing none, we will move on to item 7, consent items for consideration. Governing Board meeting minutes. Regular meeting, March 15th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Contracts under $50,000. Ratification of 2022-2023 new hires. Ratification of 2023-2024 new hires. Ratification of resignations. Updated fundraisers for 22-23. Ratification of budget revisions and warrants for March 2023. Approval of early high school graduation, reduction of graduation requirements petition student number 22-23-05GR, and acceptance of a donation from David Pombo towards the David D. Pombo Memorial Scholarship. If anyone would like to, any board member would like to pull any item for further discussion, or they may do so now. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent items for consideration.
Second.
And if I may,
Certainly.
once again, I'm sorry for your loss, and thank you very much for the setting up the scholarship.
Thank you.
President Pombo.
On a motion by Trustee Olson and seconded by Trustee Boulay, student board member preferential vote.
Aye.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And if Trustee Olson would like to do the honors?
Yes, I'm going to start with the 2022-2023 new hires. I would like to welcome Gary Brown, Network Coordinator, Edward Campbell, IT Tech 2, Jessica Hurst, Self-Contained Classroom Teacher, and Sampurna Sarkar, CTE Computer Science Teacher. Welcome to Lammersville for this school year. And then I'd also like to welcome the 2023-2024 new hires. And I believe some of them are here, so wave and smile for the camera. Michelle Baptista, K-8 Principal, Travis Manley, Director of Special Education, Karen Perez, K-8 Principal, Kristen Ward, K-8 Vice Principal. And we'd like to recognize that the new principal of Mountain House High School, Adam Auerbach, is also present, and he was welcomed at a previous meeting but couldn't be there, so we're glad he's here tonight. Welcome to our Lammersville family.
So Associate Superintendent Harrison.
Board President Palumbo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce you to some new employees to our school district. Some of them have come through the ranks and have been promoted, and some of them are brand new. So we'll start tonight with Travis Manley, our new Director of Special Education. Come on up. Not 15 minutes tonight.
Board of Trustees, Superintendent Nicholas, thank you so much. I'm so privileged and just looking forward to continuing to serve our district in a different capacity this year. It's very hard to leave Wickland behind, but I know it's in good hands, and I'm just looking forward to serving our special needs students and population. So thank you.
You only get 15 seconds, but we get 15 minutes to grill you. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Adam Auerbach, our new principal at Mountain House High School.
Good evening, President Pombo, members of the board, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve this district. I'm very much looking forward to working with the staff and students at Mountain House. I hate to say, as a high school principal in the Central Valley for a number of years, I've witnessed many Science Olympiad losses to Mountain House High School. As the saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. And, at this point in time, I'm really looking forward to serving with the same vigor and enthusiasm that your staff has shown me thus far. So thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
And then I'd like to welcome Karen Perez, the new principal of Wickland Elementary School, replacing Travis Manley.
Dr. Nicholas, President Pombo, and trustees, thank you so much. I'm honored to be the next principal at Wickland. I was excited before I came to the meeting, but I'm even more excited now after hearing your updates. It sounds like Wickland is going to be a great place to work, and all the work that Travis Manley has done over there, I'm excited to step into and continue. And I also wanted to just thank all of you for your continued support in developing me as a leader over the past 7 years, and the entire district leadership team for that as well. And I will keep you updated on the successes of Wickland and invite you to come visit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Michelle Baptista. She will be the new principal of Hanson Elementary School. The Hanson Elementary School principal, Corinne Pacheco, will be going to the new school at Costa and opening of the new school as the principal there. Michelle.
Let me lower this a little. Trustees, Superintendent Nicholas, I'm Michelle Baptista. I'm currently an assistant principal in Tracy, and I'm really excited to step into the role of principal at Hanson. I've heard amazing things about this district. Everyone's been so welcoming and amazing so far. So I'm really excited to start this new role and get everything going. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Kristen Ward is here. She will be our vice principal at Altamont Elementary School next school year. She was previously a coordinator here.
Thank you, President Pombo, trustees, and Dr. Nicholas. I'm very excited to continue supporting our Lammersville district and moving into this new role as a vice principal. And I'm adopting purple and yellow as my new colors in the Panther. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, 8. District administrative reports. Dr. Nicholas.
Yes, I just have a couple of items. First of all, we received some very good news. The Association for California School Administrators, Region 7, identified one of our Special Mountain House High School students an award winner for their award called Every Student Succeeding Award. And her name is Kayla Alvarez. And this award goes to students who have overcome obstacles and gone on to do great things. Kayla entered high school having overcome some challenges and went on to become a 3-sport athlete. She is currently the vice president of our Black Student Union. She has, again, 3 varsity sport letter person, volleyball, basketball, and track. Basketball is a sport she excels in. She's the team captain in volleyball and basketball. And one of the nice things here in this document is that she's a leader on campus and someone they turn to help mediate conflicts. She's a person that's mature beyond her years. And after this went out and we found out, she signed a letter of intent to play college basketball at the University of Laverne. So congratulations. Second, and we never miss an opportunity to brag about being at the top of a list. Noel found this. A San Francisco Chronicle article went out and they were looking at a comparison study of enrollment and enrollment patterns across the state to understand their own district's patterns and behaviors. And in doing so, they identified the districts that have grown the most by percentage in the state. And you will not be shocked to hear that Lammersville Joint Unified is, the biggest district on the list, but since 2019-20, we have grown, according to their study, at 27.1%, far outpacing pretty much everything. So when you consider we're twice as big as the next biggest district, that's on scale too. So congratulations. It's always nice to get into the San Francisco Chronicle, and it was a headline that we are proud of. So thirdly, congratulations to Assistant Superintendent Grijalva and her team. The second interim budget report came out. We can pay our bills this year and for the following 2 years, always an important designation. So congratulations to their team. And as I choke for the second meeting in a row, excuse me, and there is, I don't know if it's official yet, but there is a league reorganization process going on. As we grow, we're seen in through a different lens. It's very highly likely that we will move from the Western Athletic Conference WAC, which we've been dominating, from football championship to multiple tennis championships and everything in between, to the very interesting powerhouse league, the Valley Oak League, the VOL, which features 2 state football championship teams in Oakdale and the rival from my high school days, the Central Catholic Raiders. We called them the CC Raiders and other things too. So we will make that adjustment. We will rise to the occasion. Our athletes will compete in on different fields in different schools, but it will save transportation costs and get the kids home a little bit earlier. So I want to, as a heads up, and not official yet, but that's coming. And Mr. President, that is my report.
Thank you. And hopefully soon to be 3 state champions. Yeah. Item B, district enrollment report.
Enrollment is 7,583.
Thank you. Item C, Lammersville yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
As we came out of COVID, we said we were going to do a comprehensive analysis of our systems and where we were at and where we wanted to go. So we thought in explaining to the board, and this will be presented by Mr. Harrison and Mrs. Sharp, we would give a comprehensive overview of what we've been doing, what we've seen, and where we're going. And we thought we would name the presentation to something similar to a Beatles song. So I would like to introduce Mr. Harrison and Mrs. Sharp, who will explain where we're going.
Which one of them is going to sing yesterday?
Sharp.
I have that tune in my head, so it's going to be playing as they talk.
Thank you. I thought it was a U2 song. All right. So before I get into the slides, I want to give a little introduction to what we're going to do. We're going to talk about a major initiative that we have in the school district I'm going to start from a global level, and then Mrs. Sharp is going to get it more granular, then I'm going to go back out into scope into a more global level. So as we move along, you will notice that we go wide scope, granular, wide scope. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Okay, the board is very familiar with our 3 LCAP goals. I think I've presented it to this board 19,000 times. A systematic closure of the opportunity gaps, instruction and curriculum efficacy, and 21st century outcomes and stakeholder communication are our 3 LCAP goals. Now, every year, Dr. Nicholas sets a focus for all of the administrative team, teachers, everybody in the district, on what we're going to focus on for the school year. In 2022-2023, the focus was good first-time instruction, impact teams, and student underperformance, the 20%. I'll go more into that at a later time because I'm going to go backwards in time and forwards in time and talk about these focus areas. The key about the focus areas is that they encompass the 3 LCAP goals. And the 3 LCAP goals are listed by action when we go to cabinet every Tuesday in superintendent's cabinet. And what happens every Tuesday is we review the 3 LCAP goals along with the sub-actions beneath each goal, 1, 2, and 3. And some of the information I'm going to present to you today encompasses one of the major initiatives and about 1/8 of the major goals that we're shooting for the school year. So, 22-23, good first-time instruction, impact teams and students that are underperforming, or the 20% as we've been calling it. The LCAP actions that those 3 goals encompass from goal 1 are program equity, professional learning communities and processes, impact teams, which is a part of the PLC process, TK12, formative assessments, and leadership. Leadership training, closing of circles that we've talked about in these meetings before for our leaders. Goal 2, we talk about strategic support and walking and talking instruction, which is a major initiative in and of itself that we do district-wide each year. So these actions all involve the 3 goals that we follow every school year. So yesterday, 2019-20, the 3 goals that we focused on for that school year were PLC processes, small group instruction, math practices, and site walking and talking. Fast forward to 21-22, I skipped the previous year because of COVID. Everybody was at home, although we did have goals, but the goals were kind of staying afloat and following CDPH each week, right? So 2021-22, we wanted to re-engage the PLC process, restart the PLC process that we really had established in 2018-19 and 19-20. We wanted to reestablish our school community, bring everybody back to the schools, engage our community, engage our teachers, engage our kids. And then we wanted to reassert the LUSD way, how we teach, how we test, how we assess, how we act at our schools. In 22-23, like I said previously, we focused on good first-time instruction, equity the 20%, and impact teams, or PLC process, which I'm going to talk more about in later slides. Whoops. So theory to practice. What did that look like in 1920? Well, we brought in Solution Tree to do some PLC training with our school sites. Each individual school site in the high school had their own specific trainer through Solution Tree to work on the PLC process for the school year. We dedicated training on small group instruction. The coordinators had sessions set aside for teachers and administrators to talk about small group instruction, what it looks like, how it looks in the classroom, and how we can make it great. We concentrated on math practices and training modules for the math practices. And we had site walking and talking. In 21-22, we focused on Solution Tree PLC training once again. We wanted to reconnect with the school and the community. We do outreach, surveys, extra communication between the school and parents and the community so everybody knew that we were getting going again and what we were focusing on. We wanted to retrain and refresh teacher expectations. The teachers have been teaching from home, distance learning. We wanted to get them back in the classroom, get them back in shape, get them retrained in what it's like to be in the classroom. And then in 22-23, we wanted to refocus the training on effective practices, do some data mining to identify and intervene on that 20%, those students that aren't being successful in our system. And then we realized we needed to get to the next level in PLCs in our training with our staff, our principals, and our teachers. Solution Tree brought us to about 80% of the full circle, 70 to 80%. We always talk about closing the circles in this district. We just hadn't gotten that last 20 or 30%. So we did some research and we felt like the impact teams system could help us close that circle and get that 20 or 30% more to help our students. And I'll talk more about that later on. What does this look like when we talk about the different costs? So when we talk about PLCs, it's a major initiative that encompasses that list that I talked to you about at the beginning of the presentation. PLCs don't exist in the vacuum. It encompasses walking and talking, good first-time instruction, intervention, assessment, data mining, and the different tools that we use for all of those items. So in 2019-20, we hired Solution Tree to do some PLC training. We used a general fund of $156,000. And then we also bought Illuminate and EduClimber. That was $68,000. And we bought Aries Analytics. At the time, we knew the tools that we had weren't getting us the data we needed in the timeliness that we needed to help students. So we bought these tools and we trained and we started using these tools to discover what our students need. In 2021-22, we hired Solution Tree again from the general fund, and we used some ESSER II money, and we did some research on MyPath and MAP, and we bought that system with ELO money, and then we started researching impact teams late in 21-22. We used the Educator Effectiveness Grant for Instructure program, which is a new software that we're using this year. And then this year, impact teams training, we use the Educator Effectiveness Grant for $171,500. And then we moved to Mastery Connect and Elevate, which is a new software product after we analyzed Illuminate and EduClimber. Illuminate wasn't quite getting us everything we needed. So we went to Mastery Connect and Elevate, and that seems to help us with more granular data for each individual student. Not only can we bring data down to student subgroups, but we can bring data to the individual student by teacher, by school, as we need. So we hope that that program will help us moving forward when we are fully impacted with impact teams. All right, wrong way. PLCs and why. So why do we do PLCs in a school district? What is the function of having professional learning communities? Well, there's a moral imperative to improve the personal and professional practice of everybody involved, teachers, administrators, everyone involved in the process. We shoot for common goals, not only common goals, but common vocabulary. When we're all speaking the same language, we all agree what mastery looks like, we all agree that an assessment does assess what we hope that it assesses. And then we want to do an honest self-assessment. Where are we now professionally, and where can or should we go moving forward? And hopefully that's not only an individual decision, but a group decision by grade level or by content, etc. And then one of my jobs is to eliminate barriers to students, teachers, grade level content, school site. District success is the product of that. And then it becomes a collective commitment. Keep pushing the wrong button. So when you're talking about PLCs, there's three basic posits to the idea of professional learning communities. What do we want students to learn? So identification of the key standards, backwards mapping of the curriculum, and establish common practices. How do we know when they have learned it? So that's agreed upon content and delivery, common assessments, and analysis of all data. And when I say analysis of all data, that's not only qualitative data, that's quantitative data. So that's data like surveys, that's data like mental health surveys, that's data like assessment results, that's data like attendance, that's all different types of data. And what do we do when they have not learned it? Reteach, intervention small group, assessment to see where students are and where they're potentially failing or not meeting standard, and analysis of all the data. I keep pushing the wrong button. So that brings me to LUSD impact teams. So as I stated previously, we moved on from Solution Tree to impact teams because we wanted to close that circle, that last 30 to 20% of training that we need for our principals and thereby for our teachers. And what we realized at the time is that we needed our teachers to be more involved in lesson design and assessment design at the same time, and to strengthen student ownership of their learning. So the big difference between the impact teams and what we did previously is students are an active participant in the process with the teachers and with the administrators. So the idea is that you create a success criterion. Students become an active part. They do self and peer assessment. They create their own rubrics in class, in agreement with the teacher and the students, so that everybody knows what the expectation is moving forward. The formative assessments become a key component of learning, and the assessment data becomes a part of the teaching and the learning. So the teacher not only has data on what students have learned or what they need to learn, and then those data sets and those assessments are co-created by students and the teacher. I'll have an example of that later. So the availability of data is key. Not only the assessment data that the teacher is using in the classroom, but overall data in the system. How are they doing in English? How are they doing in science? How are they doing in math? How are they done on the last assessment, the last standard? Are they attending school? How are they doing social emotionally, etc.? So the co-construction of the success criteria is an important part of the process, and it's a cyclical process, and trust and collaboration are key. So the first thing we look at is evidence. When we look at the evidence, we analyze the evidence, then we take action. Then we go right back to the top, look at the evidence, analysis, action. So one of the things that is key here is the co-constructing of the success criteria for a product and performances. The teachers and the administrators guide students in self and peer assessment, and they design an action plan for just right instruction. In other words, instruction and assessment that occurs in real time. So here's an example of success criteria from a 7th grade class. Now it's a rubric that students helped create. The teacher and the students created. So green, if you look at the top going from left to right, green means great, that you mastered the standard. Yellow is almost there, and red is needs work. And then you can see running down the rubric here, in the red, no transitions, not sure main reason of any paragraph, no quotes, off topic, distracting, limited vocabulary, etc. And as you move from right to left, you see improvement on the rubric. So the important part of this isn't new. Rubrics aren't new. We've had rubrics for years. The key part of this is that this rubric is co-created and co-constructed between students and the teacher in a cogent way. So what are the key supports? So as we've said multiple times, Dr. Nicholas has said it, I have said it, we're the tortoise, not the hare. We're not going to run out front. We're going to be the tortoise. We're going to set short-term goals to get to the long-term outcomes. It's a strategic approach. We already have built-in collaboration time for our teachers, which is one of the big hurdles that we have already surmounted. We need readily available data. It needs to be accurate and succinct. You've probably noticed in the last few board meetings, in the last couple sessions, and you'll have more in future board meetings, that there are data programs and there are contracts being approved that all relate to this initiative. Another key support is instructional support. So the coordinators, site administrators, the support, having coordinators is key because they're trained in the process and they can work strategically in school sites that need extra help and extra time. And what we did is we set up cohorts, which I'll talk about more later, and an instructional leadership team at each site. I'll talk more about that later. And then we had leadership coaching from the core collaborative, which is the impact teams group. We had a facilitator for each school site, for each principal and school site, and their ILT and cohort teams. Consistency of message is also key. We want every school to have the opportunity to get the training, so each individual architecture of the professional development is reviewed by Ms. Sharp and myself, we get the message square and straight, and then the facilitators go out and deliver the same message to the different groups of teachers and administrators. All the administrators and teachers need to have access, contemporary and accurate access when it comes to data. And then the idea is to build capacity, and I'll talk more about that in a later slide, how we're going to build capacity moving forward. So now, Ms. Sharp is going to talk about a more granular level of impact teams.
Okay, good evening. So I am the today. So every day, every core subject, teachers are teaching a standard measurable objective. That's over on the left side. And every day they're getting to a graded product. So students are taken through this process of instruction, of checking for understanding, and then the end assessment. So this happens all throughout the year, as you can see, every month, every day. Use this ruler as a way to visualize a school year with 10 months. And if you can see going across each month being one of the numbers, first month being August would be number 1, September number 2, etc. So as we go along the year, providing instruction, teaching standard measurable objectives towards graded product, you can see there are multiple opportunities for teachers to assess for student learning, and they do that through formative assessments. That could be quick checks during the lesson. It could be a quick exit ticket that kids take at the end of the lesson, multiple varieties, and this is up to the teachers to determine what's the best formative assessment to give. And then along the journey of a school year, as a district, we want to have opportunities to see how our district is doing, how the students are doing overall across all sites to determine, are the students at Cuesta, Altamont, Wickland, how are they doing in first grade, second grade, third grade? And those are those targets that you're seeing there at each month. We want those to happen about every 3 to 5 weeks, and those are called summative assessments. So they're after the instruction has taken place. With that bullseye on number 10 being our wonderful CASP and CAST. So with that in mind, we know that there's two mindsets or two thoughts behind grades. One is report cards and reporting information to parents and students on progress. And the other one is assessment for learning. And that's providing information to teachers and students on how to provide supports and move forward in the learning process. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what we're doing in Lammersville to move from a report card, so to speak, mentality with assessments and grades to assessment for learning. Before I go into the assessment piece, I'm coming back to what Thor had talked about the 3 posits. So what do we want students to learn? That's what we determine through our assessments. How do we know when they have learned it, and what do we do when they have not? So that's what we're doing when we take the assessment and we evaluate the data. So we're moving the teachers from you could say a report card thought of a collector of data to a data user who's going to take the data from the report cards, from the assessments and determine what to do next with the students. So here, before I go into each piece, I want to just take a moment to walk you through what this is, because there is a lot going on the screen, and I realize that. This is a scope and sequence overview for the year, and the coordinators and curriculum department have prepared this same scope and sequence model for all kindergarten through 8th grade. It looks exactly the same, with the top being by trimester, so you can see trimester 1 on the left. Underneath trimester 2 or trimester 1 are the 3 months that go along with that, August, September, October, moving on to trimester 2 and ending with trimester 3. As you go down on the left-hand side in the colors, you can see that each core subject area is a different color. Math being identified as blue, ELA as red, science green, and history as orange. So if we look at kindergarten, and the same is going to be true for first grade as well, when we are looking as assessments to drive student learning and to drive instructional practices, we're realizing that there's opportunities for us to work with teachers to establish more opportunities to evaluate student learning. If you look at the bottom red circles and you see the red arrows pointing up, those are our DRA assessments, which are our assessments that evaluate student reading ability. In our current assessment model, we realize that we have the high district level. We can look from a district perspective and we can see how are our kindergarten students doing in reading at first trimester, at second trimester, and third trimester. So that's great. We have that big bullseye, right? We have the ability to see how are we doing globally. We recognize that in kinder and first grade, the teachers don't necessarily have the common assessments they need to come together and have common language about how students are doing across the district. They may have common language across their school site and the agreed upon language with their team, but Cuesta team may not have the same exact assessment that a Wickland team may have. So those are some of the opportunities that we have going forward as we realize we're moving from, again, the data collector to the data user as we're getting into impact teams and supporting student learning. This is the first grade model that again shows you the same thing. You see those red circles and that we do have that high summative level of the DRA assessment. And I do want to note that while this is it shows a single assessment at district level, there are assessments being done by the teachers, those formative assessments and that instruction along the way, as I showed you those check marks that are done within the school, within the classroom. However, at the school level or at a district level, we don't have that necessary information. Now in second grade, you can see in math, I have a star up there. In math for second grade is the first grade where you see the blue bubbles, how they're circled by black. Those are demonstrating that each unit of study that's about 3 weeks, about 3 to 5 weeks, there are now assessments. So teachers are able to identify more quickly the areas that students are doing well and the areas that they may need to support students in learning. This model of math goes from second grade consistently all the way through 8th grade. So we do pick up at that point for second. In English language arts, you can see second grade is the last grade where this is an issue like this, but it is still the 3 trimester assessments for learning for reading skills, foundational reading skills. So this is 3rd grade through 6th. This is a 3rd grade model. However, 3rd and 6th follow the same plan or the same scope, so to speak. You can see the gold star again at the top for math. We're doing well there. Now in ELA, you can see that there are again 3 arrows, and those are demonstrating the 3 agreed upon common assessments district-wide. Every 3rd grade through 6th grade teacher is expected to give the 3 assessments so that we can look at that globally. Each school site, each teacher, each grade level determines among themselves what other assessments that they will look at when they're supporting student learning. However, at the district level, we have 3. In 3rd grade, you will also see the light pink below the red. We are beginning to assess for writing. So we're beginning to take a look at how our students are doing in proficiency of writing. We assess writing in 3 genres, which are also assessed by CASP: informative, narrative, and opinion. And then you can see throughout, we also detail how it is expectations across the year that students are provided instruction, specific instruction to those writing genres. And in 7th grade, I've given us the gold star in both math and ELA because now you can see that we are providing those common assessments at the district level, those summative assessments for us to review globally how students are doing, understanding that within the classroom and within the grade levels, there are those formative assessments, the check marks that I showed earlier on the ruler. So what does that mean for us as far as impact teams and next steps? We understand that as a curriculum department, we are going to support kindergarten and first grade teachers in creating common assessments in our new program, Mastery Connect. We're going to be looking at our writing program in kindergarten through 2nd grade, as well as providing some comprehension assessments for 2nd grade. When we get to 3rd through 8th, we're really going to start talking to them about the understanding of why assess. What's the purpose of assessing? So that we can move forward again from not assessing for a grade, but assessing for student learning. Now, I want you to know that there is assessing for student learning currently. Teachers do use assessments to determine student needs. However, we're talking about more of an opportunity to really dig in, as Mr. Harrison had mentioned, student buy-in and student interest and involvement in determining how they're assessed. And that's the piece we're going to move forward with. As a part of impact teams, it is important for us to consider our new teachers coming in, because as we continue moving forward and as we're growing, we will have more new people coming in, and we can't keep starting the cycle over. So for the curriculum department, the coordinators are going to be incorporating parts of the impact team model into our new hire training so that they are hearing this language as foundational skills, not as something new at a later time, but understanding when they come in. The LUSD way is talking about success criteria. The LUSD way is talking about purposeful assessment. So we will be working with new hires coming in on these same topics. So looking at a 3-year plan for the curriculum department, we have a lot going on. We know that. However, it is all tied in with what we're talking about when we're talking about identifying our 20% and how we can support student learning, that great first-time instruction, as well as getting the teachers in the sites what they need to be effective impact team members and to have that process run smoothly. For the coordinators, our 3-year plan, this year, coordinators are currently working to create assessments in Mastery Connect and develop those common assessments in Mastery for K1 as well in 22-23. Going into next year, we're going to continue to develop those assessments, also working with the high school to develop common high school assessments, as well as training teachers in Mastery. We understand closing that circle, right? So we're bringing something new, we're training teachers, coordinators will continue to support teachers in using the new Mastery Connect. As it shows, teachers will be working with coordinators to create comprehension assessments. So this will not be done in isolation by the curriculum department, where we'll be working together with the teachers to find out what are the most important types of questions and types of assessments to provide to support their instruction of students. And then at the 9-12 level, this year we took a look at the success period and how instruction was happening during that intervention period of the school day. We provided some supports to math and math instruction and how we could support our students who are 20%. And we will continue to grow over 23-24 and 24-25 as we support the different content areas at the high school. And again, the 3-year plan for new hire. This year which we've had for the last several years, our 3 days before school started on New Hire Academy. And that's fine when we have teachers coming from a program, coming from a time when they have foundation. They know what classroom management means. They know what we're saying when we're using words like student engagement, assessment. This year we found we had more teachers coming into the school school year who had no teacher background, no knowledge of a program. They didn't go through a credential program. They have a 4-year degree. They might have been a substitute, which would be great for many of our new teachers to have the substitute experience, but many of them didn't have that. And so what we found was our 3 days was not enough. We went too fast because they didn't have the foundation to hold on to what we gave them. It was like, right, the fire hose. So they didn't retain any of it. So it was very difficult for them. This year, going into next year, we're having a 5-day New Hire Academy, where instead of brushing past as reminders for classroom management or engagement or checks for understanding, the coordinators are taking a full day. And they're walking the teachers through how to set up a classroom, what that looks like, help them developing those ideas and strategies right there in the moment with the other new hire teachers and the coordinator there. We'll continue that throughout the year because as we saw this year, we had people hired after the beginning of the school year. So here we had this great new hire training and they missed it because they may have been hired a couple days after, the day before school starts. And so we have set up in our plan not only to have our 5 days at the beginning of the year, but be prepared to support any teachers coming in August and September as well. So we're going to make sure that we are ready and supporting our teachers going forward in 23-24. And now I will turn it back over to Thor.
So before I get into the architecture moving forward, which is the tomorrow piece, what Heather and I are communicating in this presentation is a common language, a common procedure, and a common practice that is supported in the PLC process. We have trap time and we have quality time within our school days where the teachers can collaborate. On Fridays and at the high school daily, and at some of the elementary schools, they have some common time as well where they can plan. The whole idea is that we give the teachers and the administrators a common language so that during their planning, they're more effective during that time. The impact teams is helping us have more effective language, more effective practice when it comes to formative assessment, the way we create assessments during class time, and when we have those assessments, between those indicators that we have when we can really tell when students are succeeding and when they are not, right? In this point in time, we know if a kid can read or not. But what about between October and late November? Do we know the 3rd week, the 4th week, the 5th week? Does the teacher know? Now, intuitively, the teacher does know. The teacher thinks that. Thor doesn't get it, but Heather's got it intuitively. But where's the proof? You need to know what your kids need. What standard are they weak on so that you can intervene and bring those students up with all the rest of the students. So let's talk architecture. So impact team's architecture for this school year, we established the instructional leadership team, or the ILT team. That ILT team is a team of leaders at the school sites, and they can be multiple grade levels or multiple content. They are a team that are participating in the process, but they are not a part of the process, and I'll explain that a little better in a minute. We are identifying the target grade level or content for what we're calling cohort 1. So cohort 1 might be the 4th grade teachers. The ILT team participates in the training in a fishbowl manner. So the 4th grade team is getting the training from the trainer and with support from the coaches and the principal. The ILT team is watching the process and learning about the process so that at a later date they can go back to their grade level or their content and start working with their grade level and content peers to do the same thing. So the other thing that we did in this school year is identify key curriculum focus. So we had 5 elementary schools focus on literacy. We had 2 elementary schools focus, sorry, I have that backwards. 5 elementary schools focus on math, 2 elementary schools focus on literacy, and the high school focused on science. So that was their group, their team that received the focus of the training. So we identified the key curriculum, the focus. Then we had to establish conceptual focus, or the formative assessments and the success criteria for that group. So they go through the process of creating formative assessments, creating success criteria, a rubric like I showed earlier in the presentation, so that they know what language they're going to use moving forward, and they have a common language and system moving forward in the department or in the grade level. There's a commonality, okay? Now, you're thinking in your head, well, 4th grade, that might be 3 teachers. The ILT team may be 6 teachers. True, but we're doing the tortoise, not the hare. So we're gonna get that small group trained, and then we're gonna move on to the next year, and I'll tell you how we're gonna get to a mass effect. So the coaching sessions for the administration, the coordinators, align with what we're doing with the teachers and the site administrators. They're getting the same training contemporarily. I think that's right. So next school year, we're gonna have further training of the ILT team, okay? We're gonna move to a new grade level. So if we did 4th grade last year, maybe next year we're gonna do 3rd grade. So we go after the 3rd grade team. The ILT team is still in the fishbowl. They're watching the training that's going on for the 3rd grade team, okay? Learning the process, learning how to be the trainer, learning how to do the process, okay? So we're also going to have follow-up support for cohort 1. We're not going to leave cohort 1 behind and say, oh, just go do it. You've been trained for a year, go do it. They're also going to receive follow-up training. We're going to identify a target grade level or a content for cohort 2. It may be literacy again, it may be math again for the same schools. At the high school, I know we're continuing with science next school year. We're going to grow and expand the conceptual focus, formative assessments, success criteria, cohort 1 and cohort 2. There will be higher expectations for cohort 1 than cohort 2, because cohort 2 is still learning, cohort 1 has had a year of training, and we'll support cohort 1 with more advanced skills when it comes to creating assessments and success criteria. We'll have further coaching for our new coordinators and our existing coordinators and our new administrators and our existing administrators. And then we're going to expand the concepts as Ms. Sharp indicated in her part of the presentation. We're going to expand concepts into the new higher academy, And then eventually we're going to expand some of the concepts into the walking and talking protocol that we use district-wide so that we're all speaking the same language. In 2024-25, we are going to further train the ILT teams. We're going to have expansion and mastery for the early adopters. We're going to have follow-up support for cohort 2. We're going to identify a target grade level or content for cohort 3. We're going to identify key curricular focus for cohort 3. We're going to expand mastery of early adopters, conceptual focus, so that ILT team, by the time we get to 24-25, they should be ready to spread to their departments or grade levels the concepts that they're learning in the fishbowl. We're going to have further coaching for coordinators and administrators. And then we were going to formalize the process a little more for the New Hire Academy, for Walking and Talking, and the Observation Conference. So we're all speaking the same language, having the same expectations for our children's learning. Oops, keep hitting the wrong button. So I'm going to revisit the money and how we're paying for the impact teams for 22-23. We're using the Educator Effectiveness Grant, $171,500. And Mastery Connect Elevate, we're paying for that out of the general fund for $169,000. And then in 23-24, we're going to use the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant of $292,000. And in 2024-25, I believe I added a certain percentage. I think it'll go up to about 320 because everything goes up, nothing ever goes down in the costs for the impact teams for 2024-25. So you're saying in your head, okay, what happens in 25-26? So at this point, we should be reaching mass effect for the elementary schools, in that we should be able to train ourselves. We should have leaders at the school sites that know the process, that can train the new teachers coming in, along with the principal and coordinators, et cetera. We should reach a mass effect at this point. That's the plan. So it is a team approach. This is just one of the many initiatives that we have going on in Lammersville. And PLCs, we talk about PLCs and it's just 3 letters, but PLCs is a really wide encompassing thing. It encompasses instruction, it encompasses assessment, curriculum, and there's a lot of people that play key roles in this process. So this is the hierarchy of our district staff. Dr. Nicholas wanted me to kind of go through this to show the team, and everybody on this team has a little bit of responsibility in what I've talked about today. Some more than others, but everybody is responsible. So the governing board, superintendent, executive assistant, and then going from left to right, we have the assistant superintendent of business services, and then under Mr. Grijalva, we have the director of fiscal services, director of information technology, director of food services. And then we have the associate superintendent of administrative services. I hear he's a great guy. Under him is director of special education, director of maintenance operations, director of human resources, executive director of student services, all the K-12 sites, the director of education services, and you'll see a red director of CWA. That is not hired yet, but it's still on the flow chart. Moving to the right, assistant superintendent curriculum and instruction, Ms. Sharp. She has the director of instructional services in the future, and she has the coordinators under her leadership. This is our team, and it takes this whole team and a lot of planning to make this one initiative work vertically through the school year and work longitudinally out into 3 years down the road. Any questions?
I have a question. What is the acronym Director of CWA?
Child Welfare and Attendance.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of acronyms in education.
Too many.
I wanted to thank both of you for the presentation. I think Dr. Nicholas will confirm that, as a construction finance guy, frequently when I see big graphs, he's like, oh, I'm going to have to give him the education to idiot translation. But I understood everything that you had to say. Everything makes sense. Like, I love the program. I love the way you presented it. Great job.
Thanks.
I would like to say something. So, as you mentioned, every person has a responsibility towards how we were yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So, for me, as I sit here and when I go through the agenda and I see, wow, that's a lot for this program. And I keep thinking, okay, so I'm going to play a small role in approving that. And I place my entire trust on the district, staff, and everybody who researches that program and brings it to us. And, you're making sure that you're diving deep down into the assessment for each and every kid. And I just trust every one of you, and that's how I get to approve. So I feel so blessed and happy and proud to be here. Thank you so much for all of your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Item E, District Maintenance and Operations Report. Mr. LeGrand, I assume.
Mr. President, we have one quick one on D.
There's never anything to say about that one, so I just skipped it.
So there are 0 Williams reports.
Thank you. Item E, District Maintenance and Operations Report.
Oh, wait.
Actually, I did not skip that intentionally, but I made something up, so.
Good evening, thanks for having me. I'm happy to report our new grounds employee showed up today in a 4x4 wood crate. Our new robot's here for the field striping.
Jimmy.
No, it's Jim.
No, we're going Ori, Kirky. No, they're not going. No, one of those two. No, we're still taking nominations for names. So, anyways, the company's coming out next week for a couple of days to help us set up the fields and whatnot and give some training on the unit. So that's exciting. Spring break was the first week of April, a very busy week for us. Custodians were out doing extra cleaning. Ground staff was doing weeds and weed abatement and pruning trees. Keenan was in the district. They do their annual chemical inventory. They did all the sites this year. We replaced the gym lights in the main gym at the high school. We upgraded to LEDs. There's 48 lights total. I have received nothing but positive comments from every staff member of the site. It's amazing the difference. So we also had a follow-up fire inspection at Lammersville on Wednesday of spring break. All of our irrigation startups are complete. The water's now on 2 times a week at every single site in the district. On Thursday, April 6th of spring break, we had an arborist come out and identify some hazardous trees at the high school. You may have noticed some in front of the solar almost at a 45-degree angle. So they took out 13 of those trees on that Thursday. There were a couple in the quad, a couple back by the garden, a couple in the north parking lot there. So that was done. And then also on that Thursday, we had our CalShape kickoff on that day. The HVAC money, we're waiting to start that work. They started on Thursday at the high school, a spring break. They were there all the week after that. This past Monday, they were at Altamont, and then they slid over to Wickland on Tuesday, and they went to Bethany this afternoon. Right now, they're doing all the rooftop inspections and to get that out of the way first. And then they'll eventually move inside the classrooms, and we're getting new thermostats in most of the classrooms in the district, so that's a good thing. We still have our EPIC interns, still have 3 of them. The weather's been nice. They've been out helping us do field work, and they helped us trim some trees and do some pruning, that kind of stuff. So that's been going well. Tomorrow they're going to help touch up a couple fields for us, and then we have to hit up the baseball and softball field at the high school. Solar, all the stuff is picked up at Cuesta. Friday of spring break, the temporary fencing, the Connex box, it's all gone. So that's out of my hair. Upcoming items, I have a meeting with a new pest control company on May 1st. We're looking to make a switch in our new fiscal year, July 1st. Right now we have animal control, pest control. We're looking to combine in one company and make it simpler on all of us and get a better rate and a better deal and better service. Also on that day, Sean and I are meeting with the Sheriff's Department. They want us to work with them about improving their radio. They don't work very well around the high school area, so they want us to see if we could partner and improve our service and their radio service. So we're doing that on May 1st. Staffing update, our facilities admin secretary, the one for the high school, she started yesterday. So she's been in our office training on use facilities, work orders, transportation, all that kind of stuff. and we'll send her to the high school in a couple days when she's ready. The lead custodian at Cuesta, I've been told he's starting on Monday, so that's good news. That position's been open for a while. The evening custodian at Wickland, that position was filled. We had a long-term sub there, and she got the job permanently, so that's good. So we have 3 openings: the warehouse position, the custodian for this building, and the PDC. And then we're gonna hire an extra custodian for the high school, Tuesday through Saturday position. We had that years ago when I started here, and it kind of went away. We're gonna add that person to the high school. There's a lot of use of facilities on Saturdays at the high school, so that'll be helpful. That position just got flown. There's only a couple applicants so far, but hoping to get that filled before school's out. And that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
You mentioned the fire inspection at Lammersville, and I was just curious how that went, since it's our oldest.
We had
and also the only one with Tracy Fire.
We have a new inspector. The first visit, a lot of teacher stuff hanging from the ceiling, walls, and that kind of stuff. So we had to go, and I talked to Principal Duran before she left for spring break that we were going to have to go in and remove that stuff. If they can give the teachers a heads up, so when they came back after spring break, they wouldn't be upset with us. One teacher out in kindergarten had a very beautiful tree hanging, but no, it had to go. So we had to take that stuff down. A couple little things. We still have to do the fire hydrant behind the multi. On our property, we have to get that serviced. And I didn't have the information for the fire drill, so Rebecca was going to help me get that. So.
You?
I apologize that I don't know this. You mentioned that some of the trees had to be removed, like at the high school.
Mhm.
Do we plant another tree? Like when we have to remove one, do we put one back?
Well, yes. Well, we had 13 taken out, and we have a proposal to replace 20. So we're putting more than
cool.
Some that have died over the years. So there's 20 that are going to be going in.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions or comments?
Yes,
by the board?
Dr. Nicholas would fire me in 10 seconds if I didn't replace the trees.
We like trees around here.
So, anyways, yeah, we're going to put 20 back.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to item 9, action items. Item A, consider approval of 2022-2023 intra-district transfer requests. I'm assuming there's no staff report.
Move to approve 2022-2023 intra-district transfer requests.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of 2023-2024 inter-district transfer requests.
Move to approve 2023-2024 inter-district transfer requests.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Olson and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of the 2023-2024 Lammersville Unified School District Wellness Plan. Staff report.
We would like to thank everyone who participates on the committee, including trustee Olson and Daniel, district staff, first responders, and site staff, and we recommend approval.
Move to approve 2023-2024 Lammersville Unified School District Wellness Plan.
Second. Ooh, I think she beat me by a split second.
On a motion by trustee Daniel and seconded by trustee Olson, student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of 2023-2024 Lammersville Unified School District Safe Schools Plan and School Safety Plans. Staff report.
And we'd like to thank trustees Pombo and Olson, district staff, site staff, the leadership program teams at the school sites that put these all together. Safety first.
Move to approve the 2023-2024 Lammersville Unified School District Safe Schools Plan and School Site Safety Plans.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Olson, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of runoff election vote for the CSBA 2023 Delegate Assembly ballot for subregion 8A, staff report.
I'd like to brag about Lammersville Unified School District in that the only sole winning candidate was Mr. David Pombo, CSBA 2023 delegate. The others had a struggle and they needed a runoff. We need one vote from the board to send over to them.
Point of clarification. So my proposal that we clone Pombo and vote him in for the second seat didn't fly?
I'm not sure if I can handle one, but thanks.
I would like to nominate Sandra Chan as our vote. Trustee Clements and I met her at the event that I cannot recall the name of at this time, but I feel like she would be a great addition. She was a very pleasant board member, and she seemed to embrace and embody the things that CSBA represents.
And looking over all she has accomplished and the couple of emails that she has reached out to us, I do like everything she has done, everything that all the volunteer work she does. It's, primarily for students and for kids. I do have a question though, on Kathy Howe. She has experience as a previous CSBA delegate. And I was wondering from anybody who's been on our board for a while if you've ever met her or have any.
I do not believe I've met her.
Okay. I just wanted feedback. If anybody knew her, I wanted feedback. Otherwise, I second the nomination for Sandra Chan.
On a motion by Trustee Olson and seconded by Trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item F, consider approval of 2022-2023 seniority list. Staff report?
Yes, this is an annual endeavor. I want to thank the presidents for LTA and CSEA and their cooperation with the district. Seniority lists are part of what we do, and I obviously want to thank Sarah Barrios and our HR team as well.
Move to approve the 2022-2023 seniority list for Lammersville Teachers Association and the California School Employees Association, Chapter 873.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Clements and seconded by Trustee Daniel. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, consider approval of second reading and adoption of updated board policies and administrative regulations. Staff report?
Yes, on one of the updated BPARs, we had a technical error. We were supposed to change something twice, and we only changed it once. Uploaded into your computerized version of our agenda is the corrected version, so we're recommending approval of all of the board policies and administrative regulations, including the corrected AR BP 5113.
Move to approve second reading and adoption of updated board policies and administrative regulations as amended, or do I need to say that since it's already uploaded?
As amended is best.
As amended.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Boulay and seconded by Trustee Clements, student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And may I say thank you to the committee for all of that effort.
Indeed, thank you. Moving on to item H, consider approval of food services agreement for National School Lunch Program between Mountain House Elementary School District and Lammersville Unified School District for the 2023-2024 school year. Staff report?
Yeah, we do this every year. Very small rural districts need help. We step in and help, and it's part of the process of doing that.
Move to approve the food services agreement for the National School Lunch Program between Mountain House Elementary School District and Lammersville Unified School District for the 23-24 school year.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Olson and seconded by Trustee Daniel, student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item I, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 22-23-09, approving the purchase of reserve fund insurance policies from Build America Mutual Assurance Company for outstanding bonds issued by the Lammersville Joint Unified School District for Lammersville Joint Unified School District Community Facilities District number 2014-1, approving debt services reserve agreement with Build America Mutual Assurance Company and authorize and directing authorized officers to execute documents and take other related actions. That's a mouthful.
Staff report.
And staff report.
Yeah, so
Ran out of words, sorry.
in the spirit of that kind of language, I'm going to read what our attorney wrote so that it's said technically correct, and I'm going to give you a layman's explanation of what we did. So on December 14th, I presented to the governing board a finance plan for the Costa Elementary School. The plan includes releasing bond proceeds from the debt service reserve funds for 3 outstanding series of CFD 2014-1 bonds, using the proceeds to reimburse the district for prior CFD 2014-1 eligible expenditures, and, as a result, freeing up other funds for Costa Elementary School. The action tonight approves the purchase of debt service reserve fund insurance policies from Build America Mutual Assistance Company and related reimbursement agreements, which is a requirement for accessing the money in the debt service reserve funds. The district's reimbursement obligation to Build America is payable only from special taxes levied in CFD 2014-1. Now, what does all that mean? What it means is we have 2 big projects. We have Costa, and we have the Mountain House High School extension, in which we have been working very hard behind the scenes to build permanent classrooms as promised to the board. Mr. King, our architect, is going to present some options to the board here in a couple minutes. In a nutshell, this frees up $5 million, for which we can put into the pool of money that we put together to finish Costa and to build the 15 classrooms. So, when you add this approval to that and the amount of money, $5 million, to the existing money we've already procured, we have $13.8 million to build the Mountain House High School extension, and it supports our need for funds to finish building Costa. So it's a win-win for us. It has to be explained this way because we're basically promising to use the money for the purposes that we said we were going to use it when you approved a resolution back in December. That is my explanation. It's gobbledygook, but it's $5 million to build classrooms for kids.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 22-23-09, approving the purchase of reserve fund insurance policies from Build America Mutual Assurance Company for outstanding bonds issued by the Lammersville Joint Unified School District for Lammersville Joint Unified School District Community Facilities, District Number 2014-1, approving debt service reserve agreements with Build America Mutual Assurance Company, and authorizing and directing authorized officers to execute documents and take other related actions.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Boulay and seconded by Trustee Clements, student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, information and discussion item.
Point of clarification, does this resolution
It
require
does,
a
I
roll call?
believe. Roll call, please.
Lisa Boulay.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Anita Daniel.
Aye.
Stephanie Olson.
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye. Getting ahead of myself once again. Item 10, information and discussion items. Item A, Mountain House High School expansion, 4 options. Staff report?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Mr. Wes King from Nichols, Melberg, and Rosetto, our architect. He's going to present what is the outcome of many different conversations he and I have had about we need more classrooms. The original idea was much smaller. Over time, we got more bold and grand in our asks, and we kind of settled in on what we thought we can raise to build it and what we could fit in the space or the spaces available. So Mr. King's going to present to the board options. What we're hoping to get is a consensus direction so that we can go from talking about ideas to talking about drawing.
Good evening, Governing Board. Dr. Nicholas, thanks for having me. I'm just going to briefly go through some slides to show you some options, but keep in mind there's 2 decisions or feedback we would want on 2 items. Those 2 items are Number one, do we want a two-story or single-story approach to the additional classrooms at the high school? And number two, where should we add them to the high school? And so I'm going to go through several slides to give you that option. So as Dr. Nicholas has discussed, we've been discussing the need for additional classrooms. I've outlined very briefly there. We're looking to add 2 more science classrooms. Originally, we were going to do fewer, but based on what funding eligibility we seem to have at the state, we chose to add 13 additional general use classrooms, as well as some office spaces, which we currently have defined as 5 additional offices. As I mentioned just a minute ago, 2 points for discussion: where to locate it, and single versus multi-story format. So if you remember your high school campus, this might look a little confusing because I've rotated it to fit better on my slide, but north is to the left in this image. And so Central Parkway is on the bottom, right above where the location is. And so we've got 3 basically locations that we're considering. Blue, yellow, and green are the arrows. Blue is what I call the parking lot option. Yellow would be the southwest field, which is between the parking lot and the back of the baseball fence, and then the green being south of the existing Classroom C building, which I call the southeast field. Here's an enlarged view of those areas that we're looking at. Again, now I've rotated the plan back north up, so sorry if I confused you with that. Central Parkway is now on the left. So option 1, again, the parking lot, and I'll go through some of the pluses and minuses of each option as I go through the presentation. As you can imagine, it looks like it's an empty parking lot, but having built the campus, I can tell you there's a whole lot of utilities going through that parking lot, under that parking lot, including the water, the sewer. I can't really point, but if you look just to the lower left corner of the option 1 triangle, that is the electrical service for the entire campus. So all the power comes from that and goes throughout the campus. And so there's quite a bit of stuff in this parking lot. Originally, we were talking about doing an addition to Classroom Building C, trying to make it fit in. When we went to having additional classrooms, that got too big to what the code would allow us, so we're looking at separate buildings. Option 2 would be, again, to avoid those utilities, make use of what I understand is a somewhat underutilized area of the fields on the campus and put the building there. There are some utilities in that area, but much, much less than is in option 1. And then option 3 is similar to option 2, but its proximity to the Classroom Building C makes it more central to the rest of the campus and feeding into the other facilities that the students would need to use. So again, the location is option 1, parking lot; option 2, field southwest; and field southeast, option 3. So I'm just going to go through a couple of images. These are just schematic drawings that show what it might look like. So we've got a 2-story and a 1-story version on each of these locations, with the exception of the southeast field, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this was just roughly the footprint of the 2-story building if it were built in the parking lot. You can see it pretty much uses up most of the parking lot. To the left and to the bottom of the building, as it's shown there, is the required fire lane. So we have some limitations about what we can do in terms of size there. The electrical equipment that I was talking about is shown on the left. This is a similar approach. If we did it as single-story buildings, obviously it takes more buildings, takes up more land to get the same number of classrooms if you only do 1 story. but again, it pretty much uses up the whole parking lot. This would be if you did a 2-story building south of the parking lot, what I call the southwest field there. You can see that hatched pattern in the parking lot above is where the fire trucks go through. And then again, the same approach with the single-story buildings. I will point out the configuration, quantity of the single-story buildings or 2-story buildings is part of the design process that Dr. Nicholas is trying to get authorization to move forward with. So don't think any of this is locked in stone. This is what I call southeast field. So on this one, we have proposed single-story buildings because my goal as your architect is to always build things at your campuses that look like they were always intended to be there and not something that's going to look odd and like, oh, you can tell that's the part that they added later, right? And so by doing it in this format, in this location, I think this is probably going to look the most intentional. And I can go back up to the beginning. If you look at balancing the campus, option 1 might look like it's intentional, but it would be sticking out closer to the road than anything else does. Option 2 would feel very separated from the rest of the campus. Option 3, in my opinion, kind of gives you that proximity. And although whether it's 2-story or 1-story, option 3 could mimic classroom C and have sort of an extension of the campus as it was originally designed down into that field area. So those are the location choices. I've talked largely about this, but I'll just go through this really quick. Some pros and cons for the 3 options. The proximity to the existing campus. In the parking lot, obviously it's the closest. It does serve as a bookend to the CTE building. Excuse my clicking, I'm gonna go back up here to point that out. You can kind of see where the option 1 rectangle is, and then the CTE building on the right-hand side. Although the CTE building is a single-story building, so it wouldn't be exactly a bookend, but it's kind of the approach that was going on there. As I mentioned before, there's significant underground utilities in that area. So yes, that has a cost impact, which we'll talk about, but the bigger issue with that kind of a utility impact is having to shut the campus down to be able to move those utilities and finding a window of time when you could actually conceivably do that. So obviously if we took over the parking lot, we would lose that parking. I believe this option has the highest potential cost because of being both 2 stories and or 1 story and all the utilities that are in that area. Option 2, again, just south of that existing parking lot. It does preserve the parking. It has the least underground utilities in that area, but it's also very isolated from the rest of the campus. And it does landlock that parking lot. So if you ever wanted more parking, you wouldn't be able to expand that one. You'd be kind of trapped. And then option 3, I can call it aesthetically balanced addition to the existing campus. The proximity of the existing campus facilitates access to the quad. I would envision, I'm sure you're all familiar with it, there's very much a central stair that goes through the middle of building C, lots of doors that you can make that connection to the inner quad of the campus fairly easily. It does leave the southwest area open. If you ever needed to expand that parking lot, you could do that. Minimal underground utilities, and it has a lower potential cost because of that. So that's the location question. The 2-story versus 1-story question. I put a couple of points on here. You can imagine if you do a 2-story building, it's going to have a smaller footprint. We've done this at some of your other campuses to preserve the fields. In this case, that would be true as well. It would use up less physical area. It does mimic the existing design vernacular, but you also have, as I show on there, you have both single-story and two-story buildings on that campus. So that's not insurmountable. It does preserve some field space, assuming we put the new buildings on the field. Does offer interior circulation. Typically, that's what we do in the two-story buildings, as you've seen. And then it does have a much higher cost, as we'll get into in a minute. The multiple single-story buildings to meet this program would increase the layout flexibility, and by that I mean because we're going to do multiple buildings, we can put them in multiple places if that makes sense. It could be good for phasing the construction. If you want to only turn over part of the campus to the contractor first, let them do one building and then transition over to the other, might be able to give us more flexibility in that regard. Exterior circulation would probably be what we do, similar to the CTE building when it has the doors go to the outside as opposed to an interior corridor. It does have a lower cost. So what do I mean by lower cost? Single-story building for this program, $12.5 to $14 million. Two-story building would be $16 to $18 million. That is largely due to the fact that the two-story building requires not only the elevator and the stairs themselves, but the square footage that they represent. So it makes for a much larger building by comparison to the single-story. So just big picture, I put some schedule information on there for you guys to consider, assuming the board gives direction and we can move forward. We would be going to DSA in November of this year, anticipating construction being starting in June of next year and going through August of the following year. So the idea would be to get rid of those portables out of the parking lot and move into this facility as soon as possible. Any questions?
Can you go back to the slide that's the comparison between the three?
It's my favorite slide too.
No, the
other one.
Yeah, the written comparisons.
Like the pros and cons?
Yes. It has option 2 as the least potential cost and the least underground utilities. Is that correct? That option 3 has more utilities and would potentially cost more?
I'm going to sound like a politician and say it depends. Right? So, and I'll explain what I mean by it depends. So there is utilities in this area. They kind of parallel the fire lane that is hatched between Building C and the proposed new buildings. And if I have to push the new buildings really tight to Building C, I'm going to have to affect those utilities. However, if I push them a little bit more into the field to the south, a little bit further probably than what this shows, but not terribly far, then I can leave most of those utilities in place. And so that's where that balance is.
Can you be a little more specific what utilities you're talking about and what distance you would have to? Are we talking 5 feet or 50?
10 to 15, I would say. You see in each of those buildings, there's sort of a circle near the top. I believe that's the sewer line. And so just shifting it enough to miss that is really what I would be doing. The electrical and the technology also runs through there, but I think the sewer is the farthest south that I would be trying to miss. And there's certainly less going through here than is going through the parking lot, for example. And the area, the option 2 area is largely irrigation, that kind of stuff. That's why I say it's less impactful from the utility perspective.
For the, sorry, you want to go ahead?
I'm thinking that, thank you. I think that the parking lot doesn't make sense.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I think we can eliminate that one if we
eliminate that
have a
parking lot.
consensus.
Sure.
All right, one down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. No, no.
I'm leaning towards option 3, but I would like to know from, like, I don't know how much that green space is used as a practice field, and I'm sensitive. I mean, I'm weighing it because we do have the other land that could potentially be pulled in as athletic facility, additional athletic facility space. So it's not an a priori issue, but how much is that option 3 used as a practice field?
So Thor and I had a debate about that. And so I went over there, a couple days ago. Noel, can you see that like kind of white thing to the south of option 3? That's a soccer goal.
Right.
So, and then there's a soccer goal down towards the thing. So that would be the practice field, and Wes's 10 to 15 feet would not touch that goal.
So option 3 rectangle on this, by the way, is bigger than the buildings would be. It's
right.
That was going to be one of my questions, are the rectangles to scale? Another question I have regarding option 3. In the middle of in the middle of the C building that's right there, is there a back door that goes out to the field so there would be easy access in and out from each of the buildings to the
Yeah,
quad?
that's what I was referring to. There's a central staircase right in the middle between the two parts of it, and on either side of that, there's a pair of double doors that go both towards the quad above and towards the field below.
Can you please share the option 3 proposed picture, please? So I'm inclining more towards option 3 too, but yeah. So you have proposed just 1-story classroom. Can we have 2 stories above each one of them?
It's more square footage than you would need. It wouldn't make sense. I mean, to have it balanced like it is, where you have it kind of mimicking the building C, that would be way more square footage than you would need to do the 15 classrooms. So your answer is yes, you could do a 2-story, but you would probably only do one side or the other as a 2-story. And I think that
Wes, how many okay, so one 2-story building would house 15 classrooms. If we did 2 classrooms of this size, it would be 30 classrooms.
Yeah, that's it.
if they were 2 stories, yes.
So
Would that?
I was just going to ask, because like our needs are 13 classrooms, 2 science classrooms, and 5 office spaces. So with this design, how would that be structured? Would we put all the offices on one side, or would I mean,
He's like, well, that depends. What would you like?
I have to introduce myself to the new principal and have that discussion. But it can be done either way.
Okay.
I envision this, you can kind of see around the perimeter of those buildings, there's little doors sticking out. You see the little arc swing. And so you can see there's like several doors down the middle. That's where I put the offices, just kind of as a first starting point, because it seemed to make sense for them to be sort of central. But it could totally be all on the far left or the far right, or however it turns out to be.
And will each building have a bathroom, or will like?
So this proposal does not add any restrooms to the campus.
They just go to the.
And that's the other benefit of being in this location, is it's easily accessible to the restrooms that are in Building C.
So what was, I'm sorry, Mr. Palmer, your mouth was open, but nothing came out.
That happens often.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Can you explain why in this area, because I do like this area the best, just reiterate why you think 2 one-story buildings are better versus a 2-story building that's maybe centered between, or is centered, along the C building.
So basically what you're asking is if we put one 2-story building in the middle instead of 2 halves on either side. I guess I don't believe this is the last time you're going to need to add this to this campus. And so I'm trying to set you up so that you have more options in the future would
Okay.
be one thing. And then the second thing is, I'm not sure we can afford a 2-story building. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Okay.
keep the budget in mind in that conversation.
I was going to say there are 4 million reasons why we would want to go with single story.
I was right there with you.
My question is, why 2 buildings? Why not put them together and do a single building more like the CTE building is?
We could definitely do that. In this particular location, I just thought it made sense to continue that pathway that currently goes through the middle of Building C and to access out to the field.
Oh, to allow access through the middle of the
So
building?
be able to get out to the fields. That could be, maybe that's one building roof structure wise, but we leave that open as a breezeway. It could be a number of things. All that is to be explored as we go forward.
I like the pathway in the middle.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's nice.
And I'm glad you said something about future growth as well, because I have that as one of my concerns, is that I don't think that we were expecting to be at this point so soon in terms of our growth. And I fear that in another 8 to 10 years, we may be here again. And so I want, whatever decision we make, I want to make sure that there is an opportunity to continue to add to our campus as needed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We can build buildings over like the swimming pool.
Don't touch the swimming pool.
I have one more question. Does a single-story building take, or to build the classrooms that we wanted in a single-story versus a 2-story building, would it be the same amount of time? Is the time frame consistent regardless of the decision?
It's a complicated answer. The shortest answer is no, they're not the same amount of time, but it has to do more with the complexity of a 2-story building construction versus a single-story building. So a single-story building, if you think of something like the Cordis campus, you know, they can build those much faster because they're always on the ground, right? Everything's right there. But when you build a 2-story building, you got to get the first layer down, and then you can move up to the second part. And so you kind of do it twice, and you have to wait for the first one to be done before you can start the second one. So it just takes longer.
To that point, then how much longer? I mean, if it was these 2 one-story
There's a
buildings.
contractor when
To the day. We want to know to the
I know
day.
you can't give to the day, but just I mean, how much more time does it typically add to build a 2-story versus a 1-story?
I can give you an anecdote. I've been chatting with the contractor who's at Costa currently, just to kind of gut check myself on how long I think it should take to build these. And so I said, well, you're building Costa in 18 months, right? That's what we started with. Of course, we trimmed it down, so now they're down to like 14 months. I said, you should be able to do these 2 buildings in like 6 months, right? And they're like, no. So I think the short answer is you're probably looking at maybe a couple months more. It's not like it's going to be like a year more, but the schedule that I'm proposing that was on that next slide was roughly 14 months to construct these. And part of that is because they're building on an existing campus that obviously you're not just going to make all the kids go away while they're building this. They're going to have to work around some of that, and that slows them down a little bit. But I think if you were building a 2-story building, you'd probably be more at that 16 to 18 months instead of 12 to 14 months.
To my peers on the board, if current financing was not an issue, I would rather have a 2-story building because it does preserve more of the green space. It does fit architecturally in with the, we do have single-story, but we also have 2-story. And it provides more flexibility for the future, unfortunately. And I mentioned this, when we started Costa, that the public is blissfully and rightfully ignorant of the complexity of school finance. And it's great in this district that other than, having to help us with Measure L, the public doesn't know all the intricacies, but it's only getting harder to finance things right now. And I'm looking at it going, Dr. Nicholas and his team have responded heroically to the challenges of building schools in this district, and throwing them another $4 million. As much as I would love to save the green space and have expansion space, right now, I think wisdom is the better part of valor in terms of saying, Dr. Nicholas, we need X, or Dr. Nicholas, we need X plus 4.
I concur.
I concur with everything, except I think that a single-story building in that location might be more aesthetically pleasing rather than less. It'll match the CTE building around the corner, and it's kind of tapering the buildings.
Yeah, it's
out.
very much, you're talking like an architect, Mr. Pombo. We
I
like,
played one on TV.
big two-story buildings, but it's nice when you can put a one-story building to kind of bring the scale down slowly to the ground level, right? So you don't have quite that vertical wall. So there might be a couple of teachers annoyed that we block their view from the first floor of the building C, but other than that,
But the second floor teachers will be happy.
exactly.
You'll be able to watch the baseball game, softball games.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we have a consensus for location 3 and single-story buildings, is that correct?
You are correct. So location 3 is the one that's currently, in fact, it's the plan that's currently on the screen
Yes.
now. Yeah.
If I can value add, next board meeting, we're bringing forward a request for proposal, the legendary RFP, and in it, a contractor has been identified to do the portables project, the Mountain House High School extension project, and once we finalize the transference of the 19 acres, 6 acres of field. So we're not sprinting. Well, we're always sprinting, but this is a rapid jog. But the timing worked out well that the $5 million vote led to the presentation, led to the direction of this model, and will lead to an RFP. So we've been queuing things up that once we get the go-ahead, we're ready to go.
Oh, and we also are, the consensus is also, if I may, Mr. President, to pull those buildings back the 10 or 15 feet that we need in order to avoid the joint trench issues with underground utilities.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yep.
And thank you for the presentation and the diagrams. And I think one of the most helpful things was the pros and cons breakdown of each of the sites. And
Of course.
thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 11, calendar. Thursday, April 20th, 2023, which is tomorrow, joint DLAC and Education Committee meeting at 6:30 in the Professional Development Center. Item B, Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023 is the next regular board meeting at 7 o'clock here in the boardroom. And Thursday, May 4th is the next Facilities Committee meeting at 6:30 here in the boardroom. In a moment, we will adjourn to closed session where we will be discussing public employee discipline, dismissal, release, and complaint, student discipline, and other confidential matters pursuant to Education Code 48900 and others for 49060, 20 USC Section 1232G, Pupil Personnel Education Code 48918, Student 22-23-03 Expulsion Reinstatement for the 2022-2023 school year. Item C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, sub D2, one claim brought pursuant to Government Code Claims Act, Claim 614103, claim available for public inspection pursuant to Government Code 54956 9E3 54957.5. Conference with real property negotiators, Government Code 54956.8, property 93397, East Ramsey Drive, Mountain House, California, APN 209-45038. Agency negotiator, Superintendent Nicholas. Negotiating parties, Mountain House Development, Camilos, Trimark, Shea Homes. Under negotiation, price, terms of payment, or both. Item E, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Government Code 54956.9, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2, subdivision D of section code 54956.9, one case. I will entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Clements and seconded by Trustee Boulay. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now adjourned. Thank you all for coming this evening.